Oh, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. And it looks like we're going to have a gorgeous, gorgeous day. Perfect day to talk about public transit. Oh, oh. First tea of the morning. Yeah, it's all very, very good. Yeah. So, public transit. Public transit. If you're like me and you are part of the working poor, you already know that public transit is a necessity for survival. It's how you get to work in the morning, it's how you come home after work, it's how you go get groceries. Pardon me. And it means that you're part of a class whose very existence is aggressively and enthusiastically denied by liberal and conservative alike. Because both of these parties are dominated by career politicians who are very much in bed with the car companies, the oil companies, the tire companies, and all the other companies that benefit from having no public transit whatsoever. Yeah. And so, of course, their answer to how are we supposed to get to work in the morning is always buy a new car. And of course, if you're south of the border, down in America, you have two conservative parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, not only in bed with the car companies, but faithfully married to them, having reconsummated that marriage in the 1950s quite thoroughly. Only it's you, the working poor, who are getting fucked out of the deal. Yes. But here in Canada or down south in America, it's the same thing. Public transit used to be a thing 100 years ago. And then the car companies came along and bought it out and scrapped it and proposed that we should replace it with the private automobile. And things have really sucked ever since. Yeah. Neighborhoods bulldozed and paved over to make way for expressways and parking lots, huge parking lots. The development of suburbia and its resulting malls and big box stores on the outskirts and beyond the outskirts of cities. In the last 100 years, our world has been remodeled not for people, but for the car. And public transit, well, there are always career politicians who are perfectly happy to get rid of what little remains of it. Because, yeah, the working poor can just go buy a brand new car. Or in this day and age, they can hire an Uber. How are we supposed to get out of poverty if the only way we can get to work costs us almost as much as we're making daily? I can't afford a car. Some of you out there cannot afford a car. Some of you have a car that you cannot afford. And public transit, well, we're all fed the message that public transit is dangerous and inefficient and a threat to personal freedom. Get a car, because a car is freedom. No, it isn't. But more on that later. Cars are expensive. How expensive? Well, in addition to the price of buying a car, insuring a car, licensing a car, maintaining a car, and refueling a car, and repairing a car, there's also the cost of all the infrastructure needed to support a car. That's a greedy bitch back there. Yeah. But more than the private automobile, it's the big 18-wheelers rolling up and down our highways these days that are really fucking us over. And it's not the trucks or the truckers. It's the political decision to get rid of the fucking trains. And I remember 25 years ago, almost 30 years ago now, they were ripping out the tracks, and I said, we're going to need that. We're going to need that. We're going to need that. And the politicians all said, oh no, truckers will handle it. Trucks will take care of everything. Everything will be moved by a big old 18-wheeler. Yeah. How did that go? Yeah, I'm at work. I'm almost done. See you outside. Oh, wow. So, I'm outside. Actually, I'm inside at a different restaurant having a cup of tea, but we'll just call it outside for the sake of argument. Oh, and where were we? Oh, yes. Public transit. And the cost of a car-dependent society and a truck-dependent transport system, and yeah, not just to the direct consumer of goods and services, but also to the environment, to the public, to the collective of humanity. Yes. And I'm drawing an audience because I'm working in a public space, so the whole point of streets has always been that they were meant for people. Streets are for people. And yet, you go to almost any city in North America, and the streets are for cars. The cities have either been bulldozed and remade for the car, or in newer cities, there's never been any thought to pedestrians. The cities were built around the car. You go to fake London here in Ontario, you go to Kitchener-Waterloo, you go to Listowel, so-called Car City, Listowel. Ye gods, Car City. I've been there, it sucks. Yeah. You go to any of those cities that have been incorporated into Greater Toronto. Yeah, Mississauga, Etobicoke, Richmond Hill. They've all been bulldozed to make room for the car. Yeah. Bulldozed and devastated. Yeah. So crossing the street in these cities is hazardous. You go to cities like Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg. It's all car-centric. Everything is built around the car. And south of the border, you go to Detroit, you go to Los Angeles. Ye gods, you go to Reno, Houston, Austin, Oklahoma City. Yeah. Any major American city, with a few notable exceptions, has been completely demolished in order to make way for the automobile. It has been completely paved, completely obliterated, and completely defiled for the automobile. Seriously, people. Beautiful cities destroyed, not by war, but by the car. Yeah, so, as I was saying, public transit is a necessity, but we also need better mass transportation. We need to get rid of the old 18-wheelers that have been turning our roads into carnage, and we need to go back to the trains, which means relaying all that track that was ripped up in the 90s. You know, back when I was saying, hey, we're going to need that. Yeah. We need that track back. Now, of course, this doesn't mean getting rid of all trucks. We'll need trucks to move goods from the train stations to the stores. But we're using less trucks, and we're using them less frequently. Common sense. And yeah, we're not abolishing the automobile, but we are reducing its use considerably. And we're not getting rid of farm trucks because farm trucks are a necessity, but we are removing farm trucks from the suburbs. We are removing farm trucks from the parking lot underneath the office building where the person who drives the farm truck goes to work to sit at a desk for 10 consecutive hours straight before putting on his cowboy hat and going out to his farm truck and driving it to the beach. We're getting rid of that farm truck. Farmers, they need their trucks. They can keep their trucks. Absolutely. They have to keep their trucks. But let's put the farm truck back where it belongs. With the farmers. Let's get the contractor truck back where it belongs. With the contractor. Not with the suburban accountant with a small penis problem. Yeah. Let's apply common sense to the issue. Instead of applying, penis envy. Seriously, folks. 100 years ago, the private automobile was a toy for the rich. Farm trucks and contractor trucks were becoming a thing, but the private automobile just to drive for fun, the commuter automobile, these didn't exist. They didn't exist. And we need to go back to a time when they didn't exist to make them no longer exist. We need to bring back streetcars in the cities, the streetcar suburb, mixed-use neighborhoods, the application of common sense, and we need to get rid of the R1 property rating. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Please get rid of it. Yeah. Of course, this will require that we address NIMBYism. So let's hurry up and address this before it becomes a bigger crisis than it already is. And yes, it is already a crisis. But let's address it before the crisis gets worse. Anyway, I'm off. I gotta go back to work. Ta-ta, take care, be well, stay safe, everybody. Goodbye.